Hello students, once again welcome back to biology class. Myself Dr. Ravindra here. Fine. So in the earlier class we discussed about the neophron or the vulture, we discussed about the ostrich bird, we discussed about the peacock. So in today's class there are some more important birds and then their peculiar characters we need to understand so that we will be thorough with the general characteristics as well as special characteristic of the class aves. Fine. So here considering the most important bird such as a parrot. Parrot is also called as a frugivore, means it is a fruit eating bird. How it has adopted for the fruit eating? So it has mainly we can say that its beak is much more curved. So the curved beak helps in mainly eating the fruits, and the beak also has the nostril, and this is its what we can say the head. And then yes, the parrot as such, parrot is known for imitating and remembering number of important words that human uses them. Okay, so parrot are most of the time is considered to be as a pet bird. So people will have parrot at their home. So parrots, so they are very clever birds, we can say that. And then the parrot, yes, they do have the ability to fly very high, and they have the better or well developed wings, we can say. And then yes, the parrot, so the parrot known to use or mainly number of things. Yes, in Hinduism we mainly respect the bird parrot, and some people or astrologers use the parrot for their business also, and that's all not much true. We need not to get into that, but let me give you some important features of the bird as such. Parrot, which is a frugivore by nature, and here the parrot exhibit important characters as such. They are having the hind limbs well developed, ending with the claws and the scales they exhibit. These are also we can say that mainly tetradactylous condition, means 4 digits they have one, and all the digits are with the claws. Fine. And they do have the eye, yes, and tympanum here, and curved beak, and the nostril, and then the eye, tympanum, yes, the 4 limbs are modified into wings, and then the tail long enough, and then hind limbs or the legs. So these are again we can say that tetradactylous, yes, toes or limbs or digits with the claws. So the mainly parrot, they are a green in color. There are the parrots which can be we can say that of a different color as such. They may be sometime 4 5 important colors also, and then with a different kind of color, yes, the feather colors, yes, they will be mainly appearing very different. So here as such, so you're observing mainly the parrot over here having the curved beak, its nostril, its eye, tympanum, wing, tail, hind limbs are with modified as a well developed legs with the tetradactylous condition or 4 digits ending with the claws. And then so presence of these digits with the claws help them to hold the branches or to clasping of the branches. They will lock that branch as and when they hold the branch. Okay, so the color of the feather most of the time what we observe it is a green. There are certain other mainly parrot, we call them as the macaw parrots. So these macaw parrots are having maybe the blue color, there may be the red color, there may be the yellow color, variety of feathers, yes, we can find. So this is about mainly the frugivore or fruit eating bird parrot adopted for the aerial mode of life. The bones are hollow, we can say. Fine, we will be discussing some more important general characteristics later. And let me tell you here, one more important character you might have seen, the domestic fowl. So if you need to understand few important characteristic of a domestic fowl, gallus. So in the gallus, yes, we are going to discuss about the male. Is also called as a cock. So this is the cock I am going to explain you, and it is having most important and wonderful features as such. Being a bird, it exhibit. So this cock exhibit most important characteristics that you need to understand, and only eating the chicken and forgetting is of no use. You need to understand the important characteristic of these birds. So you might have seen the cock is having generally wattle, and a cock will have its crest. Yes. So now it is a wonderful cock what you are observing here, and I will tell you what is the importance of these, because in the neat preparation, yes, you need to know all these important features. So as such, the cock, mainly we need to understand even important types of feathers also. So these are the tail feathers what you are observing. After the peacock, the most beautiful and wonderful bird is cock only. Then here the cock as such, they maintain their aggressive nature because of they have high level of androgens. So androgens, and then they want to maintain their territory. For 100 hens, one cock is enough, because a single cock can maintain or manage 100 hens. So a single cock has a capacity to copulate 100 times in a day. Fine. Now here they make a croaking sound also. Yes. So cock make the croaking sound so as to show their presence. And by chance in their territory a new cock enters, they are not ready to accept that entry, because it will lose its chance of domination, I am telling. So here the cock also have the claws, and then to fight against the invader they have the sharp dagger like spur, and then colorful feathers they have. Let me tell you the use of these are actually the red colored. So the crest, and then this is we call it as a wattle. So the crest and wattle mainly does thermoregulation. Thermoregulation, yes. And then, so here is the beak with nostril, and then ear lappete. Yes, covering the tympanum. And then we find mainly this is the tail. So tail, wings, and then legs, and here the spur. Then so tetradactyl with claws. So the croaking sound of the cock, yes, once it get matures, then only it can make the croaking sound. So it will attract or indicate its presence, or it create its dominance. The presence of the wings helpful. Rarely they use their wings for the flying. Otherwise, yes, most of the time they are on the ground. The claws and the digits they use mainly to scratch or dig out mainly the worms inside the soil, and they eat up. So presence of these ear lappete, the wattle and crest, which are red color structure, This is the only structure, yes, because the entire bird body is not at all having any gland except they do have one single gland here. Yes, the oil producing gland. We call it as mainly the preen gland. Preen gland, yes, sometimes referred as uropygeal gland. Uropygeal gland. Yes, it is also called as the oil gland. So, presence of this gland, whenever they have the free time, they take a few drop of oil from this gland and mainly polish all their feathers, make the feathers into waterproof. And as such, don't have any other glands, and then they have to give out their excess body temperature. What they do, they circulate their blood maximum to the wattle as well as the crest, which are red color and open structure. Once the blood circulate here, yes, they disseminate their excess body heat by through these structures. So, and the testicles of this animal is inside, not, they don't have any scrotal sac inside the abdomen. Inside the abdomen, they don't have any, what you can say, copulatory organ, but they have the cloaca. Yes, they connect their cloaca with the cloaca of the hen at the time of early morning. So, as and when they find any hen, they mount on that and then release their sperms inside. So sperm, mainly the sperms enter into the reproductive system of the female and then fertilizes those eggs, and then eggs will be fertilized eggs from the domestic fowl I am talking. If they are mainly, what you can say, the farm birds, so they give the injection, parthenogenesis happens, unfertilized eggs we get there. So that is a different thing. But here, in case of the gallus, in the male, they make the croaking sound because of androgens. Then they are aggressive, they maintain their territory, and they have ability for 100 times copulation in a day. And then they have uropygeal gland. Even all the birds have the uropygeal gland or oil gland. Presence of crest and wattle helps in thermoregulation. Presence of sperm mainly to fight against the invader or the competitor. Well, this is what we have discussed about the gallus, but we need to understand there is one more important example, the aquatic bird as such. We call it as not a completely aquatic, yes, found in the polar region, Arctic region. We call it the penguin. So, aptenodite. Aptenodite means unable to fly or flightless, or penguin. So, penguin has some important features. Let me tell you, penguin as such having its little narrow and a long beak only, and then the body is, the penguin body is somewhat like this. So, penguin body is oval, we can say, and then the wings are not well developed. Wings, yes, as such, the wings are like a flipper. So these flipper-like or paddle-like wings help them mainly to swim very fast or very well in the aquatic condition. Okay. So the penguins as such exhibit maximum parental care. They do have the subcutaneous thick fat, and their legs are very short, we can say, and mainly they found to be living in the polar region. Yes, in the ice covered region. So, short legs are the characteristics, and then we can say that the flipper or paddle like wings. So, they do have thick, we can say that the thick subcutaneous fat. Subcutaneous fat they do have, and then yes, they do have the tympanum as well as the eye. Well, they exhibit maximum parental care. Fine. So this is all about the variety of birds as such we have discussed now. So mainly what we see that in case of ducks, one more important thing I have to tell you, the ducks have different kind of features. The frugivore, yes, we have discussed. So to say something about the ducks as such, we call it, a scientific name is anus. So anus or the duck, the peculiarity of the duck as such. So duck or anus, it has the beak, spoon shape beak we can say, sometimes referred as mud straining, and they do have nostrils. And then yes, the duck as such, they are also mainly having the tympanum and then the eye. Okay, fine. And then the duck have some important peculiar characters. What is that? So the ducks have a short tail, and then ducks easily can swim on the water. Why? Because the foot web what they have, let me tell you, the duck leg, these are the digits as such what we are observing, the digits, but in between the digits, yes, we can find the presence of a foot web that help in for paddling in the water. Okay, then yes, they have the tympanum ear. Yes, they do have the preen gland that make the feathers very much what we can say that oily or waterproof. And then yes, we can say that it is the spoon like, spoon or billed, okay, beak. And then these are the nostrils. So presence of foot web, then spoon billed beak helps them to hunt in the water. And then they have the preen gland also, yes. And then generally males also exhibit the presence of spur, and this is what we talk about mainly the aquatic the animal adapted for the aquatic mode of life. So these are the few important examples as such we have discussed. But when I talk about different kind of beak modifications as such in case of the birds, there are number of different types of beak we can find. Let me tell you, there is certain examples for the beak modifications. So here to say that the different kind of beak modifications, and then yes, as such foot modifications, we have seen the foot with the claws, with the talons, foot with the foot web, we have seen the wings may be modified into paddle like for the sake of swimming in the water, such as mainly in case of penguin we have seen. Now to understand mainly the type of beak as such, so beak types in case of the birds, beak types and few examples we need to understand. So as such, seed eating beaks modified for the seed eating, that can be seen in very well in the sparrow itself. Insect eating, little sharp and strong, it can be pheasant crow, and then even finch birds. Okay, then mud straining beak, spoon shaped beak, so as to filter the mud what you are observing in the duck. So we can find in the ducks mud straining beak. And then yes, there are fruit eating birds. So fruit eating beak curved, mainly seen in parrot. Okay, then flower probing beak, so that can be seen in case of hummingbirds hardly maybe around 50 to 100 milligram, maybe that much the small size birds they are. And the flower in the hummingbird, you can find the beak will be this much long, and they have very tubular tongue also. So they can insert their beak and suck the nectar from the flowers. Flower probing beak, we can say. And then fish eating beak. Fish eating, yes. There may be the cranes, herons, and kingfisher also. Kingfisher. So these are the different kind of modifications of the beak and different type of examples you need to remember. So there is one more bird I forgot to mention. It is called as cassowary with cask. What is this cassowary? Yes, it is a resident of we can say that Australia, having the most primitive kind of features, and the largest bird very next to the ostrich, we can say. So the bird is having a long neck, and then it is having what we can say, it's a cask, the hard cornified structure cask, where it uses to fight against the invaders or the predators. As such, this is also sometimes referred as a killer bird. So it is sometimes referred as a killer bird, cassowary. So killer bird, and this structure is called as a cask. Okay, and they do have the nostrils. Yes, and they are mainly the bird with the long neck and better body weight. The large bird very next to the ostrich. And now here, these birds also exhibit one more peculiar character. Their legs are very strong. So legs are very strong, and here they do have mainly 3 digits in the front and 1 back, and the digit exhibit very strong, what we can say, this is the claw, very strong claw, and with the great force it hits the human, means this long claw easily enter into the heart of the human. So this is what we call as the killer bird or cassowary, and having this mainly the long claw that can be somewhere around 15 centimeter long. For its own defense, yes, it become aggressive and it can mainly jump on the predators or invaders and kill them. That's why the bird is called as a killer bird. So these are a few important peculiarity of the group bird as such, what we have discussed here. So the bird beak we have discussed, then duck specificity we have discussed, cassowary we have discussed. There is one more important thing, yes, the bird exhibit a different kind of feathers. So we need to understand what are the different types of feathers. Basically, the two well-known type of feathers I am going to mention here. One is called as flight feather, other one is called as mainly the down feather. So flight feather can be seen in the adult bird. So this feather is having long ratchets, we can say, and then yes, this is a long central stalk we called as the ratches, and this is called as the calamus. Calamus or quill we call it as, and then this central is the ratches, and then it has mainly the feathers, yes, one after the other, lots of these. We can say that these are the structures, or sometimes they are referred as vein. So these are called as vein and ratches and calamus. So this is the kind of feather that can be seen in an adult bird. But the young one, mainly in case of the chick, newly hatched bird will have down feather. So chick, down feather. Down feather, how it appears? Let us understand that also. In a chick, the down feather has a small size calamus, and it may be what we can say few more branches also. Yes, and the cottony appearance of the feather because of this only. In case of the newborn chick, you might have seen, yes, cottony, they are very soft. Chicks are always soft only. Yes. So this soft texture of the chicks because of the cottony feather, and here, yes, the quill is this only, and these are the ratchets, we can say, and then these structures are called as barbs, and these hairy structures are barbules. So these are the few important feather what we can see in case of the birds. Well, so thus we are done with lots of important and peculiar characteristics. Bird make a peculiar kind of sound because of their sirings, and as I told you, seed eating bird in the sparrow, yes, you might have been seen, the sparrow beak is like this. They short but stout and strong. So they pick up the seed, they may crack the seed, they may swallow the seed. This is the seed eating beak. Then insect eating, yes, generally the pheasant, crow or insect eating beak will be like this. So little bit long or lengthy so that they can catch the insect very well. So beak is like this. Then mud straining beak, as I told you, yes, it may be like this. Mud straining beak will be like this. Then fruit eating, mainly in case of the parrot, the beak is as such. I told in the earlier class also, yes, this is the shape. The fruit eating mainly so that they can open up mainly the fruits and eat. Flower probing, mainly this is the very narrow slender tube like mainly the beak. Fish eating, whether the cranes, yes, or pelicans, they have a very long and very strong kind of beak. So this kind of beak can be seen in, yes, you might have been seeing the kingfisher. It is mainly more than half of the body length, it's beak only. Okay, so thus they can catch up the fishes very well and eat them. So this is all about the different kind of what we have seen peculiar features of the birds. So you might have been seeing some of important features in the birds. Birds are very clever. So birds, some of the birds are, we can say that lazy birds also, yes, they don't want to incubate their own egg. They will lay their egg into some other bird's nest. Best example, we call them as brood parasitism. This brood parasitism is exhibited by the bird, cuckoo bird or koel bird. Yes, one more important thing you need to remember. Brood parasite means what? Brood parasitism. Okay, example, cuckoo bird, or we call it as a koel. Okay, so this bird, what it will do, it want to mainly reproduce its young one. What it will do, it will go and lay its egg in the crow nest or any other bird nest, but the morphological appearance is exactly like that of the host bird egg. This young one, very early it hatches out and start pushing the other birds out of the nest. It start killing them. So this young one will attain the what you can say attention of the parent bird, and it will eat as much as possible. Thus it becomes the parasite in the brood of the host. That's why it's called as the brood parasitism. This kind of peculiar characteristics also there in case of the birds. That's why birds are called as magnificent creatures with the feathers. And these creatures, yes, what is the use of these birds to the nature? They are the good pollinators, they are the ecological balancers, they are the scavengers, they are the cleaners of the nature. So the birds are very, very essential and important. Now the human exploiting these birds. There was a passenger pigeon, we call it as, in America, somewhere in early 19th century. They started hunting these birds. Passenger pigeon become extinct because of the over hunting of the birds. They killed the birds, they eat the flesh, they have eaten the eggs. So there is no chance of furthermore any reproduction of these birds, and they become extinct. Similarly, the bird dodo of Mauritius also become extinct. So this is all what we have to know. Thus, we will be discussing some more important general characteristics also in the next class. See you people in the next class. Thank you very much. Okay, bye.
Papa?
Class.